Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Hub version 3 training session. So a quick intro of who we've got in the room. Myself, Nicole, I'm the commercial support manager, so I'll be taking you through a lot of the functionality on the Hub. We've got Serena. Give a wave, Serena. Is it going to zoom to you?
Morning, everyone.
She's commercial support also, so does a lot of training. I've then got Sky, who's our office admin, so she covers a lot of our training also, and like I said, she'll be monitoring the chat. We've then got Smari over here, who is going to be covering PIM, all things PIM related. And then I've got Tracy on screen, who is going to be covering finance and in particular any turnover queries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to get going, talk you through. Like I said, if there's any questions, please do pop it on the chat and we'll get started. So what we're using today is we're using our Academy version that Smara will explain a bit more in detail. So this hasn't got any confidential information on it. We are using Harry Potter and Potter Potions as our supplier today. So things might look slightly different on your side, but by and large, things are as they should be. Please do remember, obviously, we are just moving over to version 3. There might be a couple of glitches on here. If you do spot any problems or is there anything that you can't do that you were normally able to do on version 2, please do report those to us. You can email academy@nbgllp.com to report any issues, but hopefully there won't be too many. So why the move to version 3? So it's more reliable, it's more robust. We think it looks more professional and slicker, and we've got enhanced functionality on here. So as you can see, looking new, looking modern. And let's get started. So when you first log in, this is what you'll see. So we're on the home page. The first change that we've got here is this is our news feed here. So this has got all that information that NBG want you to see that we think is useful to you. So things about, are you coming to the conference, new partners that have joined us. The new bit on here is this search bar. So we didn't have this search option before. So perhaps you were thinking, oh, there was something to do with the training session. I can't remember exactly what it is. If you start to type in the word training, it will bring up all the news stories that are related to training. So just some more functionality there to make that easier to use. I'm going to start talking you through these buttons along the top over here. So the first one is we default onto the home page. And the first thing to note is this section here has got your current live agreements. So this supplier has got 2 subcategories. We've got paints and specialist chemicals. And this button here is new, edit figures. So this is how you go and upload your turnover. So if we just move this out of the way, if we click on the edit figures button, this looks really similar to how it looked before when you need to load turnover. So you make sure you've got the right month selected here in the period. And you've got the 2 ways that you can load turnover. So you can either work your way down the columns. So you look at the relevant partner, input the relevant number over here. And if I scroll all the way down, confirm figures. If you've got multiple turnover streams and you've got quite a lot of partners that spend with you, you can download the spreadsheet. So once you've downloaded the spreadsheet, you can fill that in. This button will then change to upload spreadsheet. So you click that one again, and then it'll pull the spreadsheet through. So quick, simple, easy, and especially with that new button on there, I think it's more obvious as to where you go to load your turnover. So the next thing that I want to show you is agreements. So this bit is the bit that people often forget where to get into and how to find the detail behind their agreement. Everything blue is hyperlinked. So if we click on specialist chemicals here, this takes us into our agreement. So it will default onto dashboard page. This page is really similar as what the partners can see. So it's got Harry Potter as our main contact. And then we have got our negotiator is Richard Green and our administrator is Melanie Peacock because they're our Cluedo partner. So you've got easy, accessible information as to who your contacts are on here. Again, like I said, a lot of it is very similar. The new sections we've got on here is this PIM section here. So within your agreement, it now shows you how you're tracking on PIM. So what is your completeness score? So how much have you filled in on pricing, marketing, logistics, and media? I'm not going to go into too much detail here because Samara is going to cover that more, but just to show you that it's here and easy for you to see. You've got a list here of what price lists are available on your agreement, your current ones, and then anything pending down the bottom. So this is really handy if you've already loaded a price for in the future or a promo for in the future, and they will show under your pending sections. Rebates here. This depends on your level of access as a supplier. So if you have rebate level access, you'll be able to see this information. If you don't have that level of access, you won't be able to see it. So it'll be worth you going and having a look, checking what you can see on your side and make sure you've got the correct level of access. If you don't and you believe you should have a higher level of access, please get in touch with Sky and she'll be able to have a look at that for you and lift you up a level if we need to. If you're sat on a call and you're someone from maybe marketing or finance and you're not the main agreement contact for us, we will need you to put the main agreement contact on that email just to confirm that your permission can be increased. So it's really cool actually this bit. So it just pulls out your rebates for you. So it's got your monthlies, your annuals. It shows you as a table view, but you can also click on chart view here and it will show you how you're tracking with that annual. So here we've got our actuals and here we've got our projected where we think we're going to come out. So the two views there, and then the other rebate information is all listed here. So this pulls out as a snapshot of your agreement. So hopefully should be the most useful, interesting information for you. What you can also do is if you click on the agreement tab, this gives you your full agreement. And again, this is going to be related to what access level you have. But the big change here is that it looks like a PDF. So this looks like how your copy would come across for you to sign. So we have all the information, kind of top line information, what is your notice period, what is your deferment period, all listed on this front page. And once we go past that, we then have all the main details of your agreement. So if you don't have rebate access, you won't be able to see this section, number 3 point, etc., etc. This section will be hidden if you don't have rebate access. Okay. Next one is files. So these files are preset and predetermined out of the same folder structure across all of our suppliers. And what it means is that partners know exactly which folder they need to go into to access the right information. So for example, in our prices folder, this is where we would find our PCNs, our price change notices. So that's a change in terminology. Before you might know them as PINs, price increase notification, but we don't just want price increases. We are more than happy to have decreases. So hence the change to a PCN, a price change notice. Product data is where we hold our PIM information, but you don't need to go in here to get it because there is a separate area that is much more accessible that Samara is going to explain to you, but this is kind of like the backdoor information. What I want to show you in here is how the folder structures have changed. So if I click into our product news, we've got some different buttons on here. So we weren't able to change the order of this. The view was the view on version 2. So this means that you can change the view that's more suited to you and making these easier to manage. So the default view is like this. So you have the different tiles in here. We can change it to a list view. We can change it to a more condensed view. And those of you that perhaps may have forgotten your glasses and can't quite see properly, we've got a super large view on here. So you pick the view that you prefer, and then also we can order them. So it defaults into when they've been created, so which order they've been loaded in. But you can change the order to how they're valid. You could also change them into an alpha order, and you can change that so it's A to Z, Z to A. So a lot more functionality in there within your folder structure. No changes on the rebate one, but the rebate tab shows you how your rebates are tracking, how much is due per month, per annual, depending on what your breakdown is on your agreement.
Sorry, Nicole, can we go back to the files?
Of course.
Someone asked, where would I find any promotion offers that I have loaded?
In this handy promotions folder here. So all promos will go into the same promo folder. So this is where you'll be able to see them. And that's exactly what this area is used for. So if you've loaded something, I don't know, 12 months ago of a 2-year agreement, you can't remember what promo it was, which one worked, which one didn't, you can come back in here and have a look at those. You can also check how long you've got it running for. Perhaps you might want to extend your promo. So if that's the case, you can reach out to your relevant commercial support, to your deal team, to the admin negotiator, and we can do things like that for you. So spend tab. This is where all the turnover that you load onto the hub gets collated into here. So this is exactly what the partners can see on their side as well. So you're looking at like for like information. So we have every single partner will be listed. And this hide zero spend toggle is really handy because it will show you every partner. I can't use it on this example, but if we had some zeros in here and you press the toggle, it would remove any supplier, any partners that don't spend with you. So it just gives you the true list, which is really handy. And then you can also press this download button here and it pushes this out into Excel for you. Then you can manipulate it and do what you want to do with that information. So it's really handy if you've got multiple turnover streams because you can see all of that on separate tabs on Excel. So useful to know that it's here. I'm sure you've got your own systems that have all this information, but it means you're looking at the same information that partners are looking at. We have a review tab here, and actually we have it in 2 different locations and it's easier to access somewhere else. So I'm not going to show it to you here. What we do have is we do have things in multiple locations because we have them in more of shortcut places. So it's quite often you'll find the information twice on here, but there are quicker ways to do it. So not here. That is everything in this section in your agreements. So if I take you back to the home page, so what I've done is I've just clicked on the NBG logo and it's taken me right back to the start. So I'm going to work my way along these tabs here. So the review tab that I just mentioned, this is the easier way to find it. So if you click on review and sales, this has pulled some of our information together where we used to have it split across multiple different places. It's all now housed in this one place. So here we have a supplier scorecard. So our scorecards go from an A+ down to an E or F. We don't normally have any right down the bottom. And as we can see, Pot Potions has got a B. So this relies on your turnover being loaded on time, your rebates being paid on time, having an active price list and an active promotion. If you have all of those, then you'll be on an A+. But as we can see on Pot Potions, they have not loaded their turnover on time. So here it's saying it was really late in January and February, and then it got better. So that's why the score isn't as high. So we don't tell our partners that you must buy from an A+ supplier before you buy from a C supplier. That's absolutely their choice. But what it means is that when you're talking to perhaps partners that aren't spending with you and you want to bring them on board, you can say to them, did you know we're an A+ supplier for you? Because we load our turnover on time, we pay our rebates on time, and we have this information that you're asking for. So it's just something might be useful for your ASMs to use, perhaps. This section here, this is my favourite bit. So the map here, which is us giving you as much information as we can to make your deal successful without giving you anything confidential. So what the map is doing is you can see there are blue and red pins on the map. The blue pins are sales at branch level. So they are where Potter Potions are selling to these branches. The red pins are where their supplier competitors are selling to the partners. So the first thing we need to do is, because there's 2 agreements here, we need to make sure we're clicking on one of them to break down the pins, otherwise it would just give us them all amalgamated together. What you can do is you can hover over the pins and it will tell you who that partner is. I've said there should be a zoom here, and now I can't see the zoom button.
Oh, I think you need to use the.
Oh, do I need to click on it?
No, you need to use your mouse or your keyboard to zoom
Okay.
in.
I haven't got a mouse with me, but what you can do is you can zoom in on the map just to be able to see it more regionally. And that is what tends to happen, is you'll kind of see a cluster. It might be a cluster because you don't have, I don't know, perhaps you don't have an FM in that area, or it's that we've got a partner that's got multiple branches and so it looks worse than it is. What we can do then is that gives us a very visual view. If you look over here on this list here, this merchant report list, all these partners listed here with their spend over the past 12 months, these are essentially your blue pins. So these are all the partners that are spending with you. So we have the full list there. If we were to click on no sales merchants, this gives you a list of partners that's essentially the red pins. So they buy your subcategory, they just don't buy from you, they're buying from another NBG supplier. So this is a really cool target list, basically. So you can use this list to look at which partners should you be going visiting, why aren't they spending from you, and it's a really warm lead for you. So you can go into that partner and say, we know you're buying specialist chemicals, but you're not buying them from us. Why is that? Is something that we're missing, etc., etc. It just opens up a conversation for you. If you click on non-selling merchants, these are partners that don't buy your subcategory. So you don't need to talk to these ones. I know particularly if you are light side, obviously you don't want to go and talk to the heavy side. So this is really handy to be able to kind of reduce those people out for you. So loads of information on this page. Have a play around with it. Have a look at what it can do. Check this page every month as well. So all of the turnover should be loaded by the 12th of the following month. So what that means is if there is suddenly partners that are now spending with you or are now spending with your competitors, that will change the pins on the map. If we have a new partner that comes in to NBG, their spend will start showing as well. It does take a couple of months to show just for the algorithm to build in the background, but that's why it's really useful to check this every month just to make sure there aren't any changes that you need to be aware of. So next one, contacts. This is NBG contacts. So this is everyone's in the room's details. If you wanted partner contacts, you just click across onto the left over here, click on companies, members, and then members list. And this gives you a list of all of the NBG partners. It's alphabetical by business name. And it also gives you the main contact over here. So this is the main contact that that business wants you to have. So you can then click on their name and it will take you through and it gives you job title, phone number, email address, etc. If you were thinking that's not the person that I want, it was someone specific and I remember the name when I see it, you can click, everything blue is hyperlinked, so you can click onto the partner and then we have a list here of all the contacts associated with this partner, and then you can find the one that you're after. What we're trying to do is give you the correct person up front so you don't have to go looking for that person. It's particularly handy if we get a new partner joining, you're not aware of them, but you know that they buy your product. That's really helpful, so you're getting in touch with the correct person. We also, new feature on here is we have the search bar. So rather than scrolling down the whole list of partners, you can just type in the one that you are looking for. So Elecmac is what I was going for. Okay. Let me go along to upload file. So this page looks different from how it looked before. What we have done is we've sectioned it for you. So here we have all of our pricing related information. So we have the price change notice, PIN prices and price file. What you'll see down here is there's a box that tells you the sequence of how we expect these documents to arrive to us. So obviously we want the price change notice to come through first, followed by the PIN file, followed by an MPL, a price list, if you need to submit that as well. These little handy boxes you can find on various different pages, and it's this show help text button here. So you can turn that off and that box has disappeared. If I put it on, it comes back again. The second box here is any other PIN information. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these sections, so I'm going to steal Smari's thunder. And the next one over here is everything else. So this is where you would load your promotions, your supplier news, these sound really similar. So supplier news, so it's the new product section, the new part. Supplier report is anything else that's related to your agreement. So things like brochures would go in here. This bit isn't relevant. Supplier sustainability, and then other documents. Other documents is something like area sales map, Christmas closures, that type of thing. So kind of more peripheral information rather than the nitty-gritty of the agreement. So I am going to just show you briefly how to load a document. So I'm going to click promos. So that takes me through. It's going to ask me first of all, which agreement am I doing? Because this supplier has got multiple. So I'm going to load for specialist cams. Right. I'm just going to briefly stop sharing my screen because I need to put an attachment on here and I don't need to see something you shouldn't. So bear with a second while I just add a file. Reshare. Okay. So I've added my file. I have to add my file before it will generate all of these next boxes. So it's then going to ask me when is the document valid from and when does it expire. So it's going to be valid from next month. And it defaults runs to the end of the agreement unless you change that. So the cool thing about the date selection is it will set your file as pending, valid or expired, depending on what date ranges you put in. So it does all the hard work for you. So if I load this document today, it will sit on the system as pending until it hits the first, then it will go to valid, and then it will turn expired on the end of the agreement or before then if I set the date as before. It has generated the file name for me here. So it's got MSO, which is manufacturer's special offer. You don't need to know that, but all the prefixes mean something. That's why it's important to make sure you're selecting the right one. On site, a lot of partners will know what that means just by looking at the prefix. It's got the month it's valid from, it's got the supplier name, and it's got the agreement on here. This white box at the end is a free type box. If you were loading two promotions in the same month, they would be called exactly the same thing unless you put something in the end to define them. So I would highly recommend putting something in if it's relevant. So promo is going to be for free beer. It asks us up here to fill in a short description and then a file description. These are just held in different areas on the system. So the short description will be used on the Daily Digest. The file description will be held within the hub. For argument's sake, I personally put the same information in twice, so it can't be missed anywhere. And it is short information. What we want to do is we want partners to open your document. We don't want them to get all the information from the description, then not have to open it. I mean, that should be enough to entice them to open it, I'd say. So we can just copy and paste that information. And from there, we would then press the upload button. So
When you're back, Matthew, I'm just on an NBG call.
you are on an NBG call. So from there, it would then go into a holding bay. There would be an email that goes to the admin and negotiator of your deal to say there's been a document loaded. Please, can you go and check it and have a look at it? So they would check it. If there's anything wrong with it, they can reject it. To be honest, they would reject it if it's got rebate blazoned across it. We don't want rebate going out to partners that shouldn't see it or members within their team that shouldn't see it. So we keep that information off here. Or it might be that the partner goes, do you know what? There's a promo that's gone on that's really similar to this and we're not going to get traction off it. And they'll talk to you about it and say, perhaps we do this, we tweak this, we do run something slightly different that's going to work better for you. Once they've approved it, it then instantly goes onto the newsfeed on the hub. That's on the partner's newsfeed. It is not on the newsfeed I showed you on your side. It goes onto their side. What happens after that? It goes onto the Daily Digest email. So as in its name, the email goes every day of the week and it collates the activity of the previous 24 hours. So that is why this is really important here and the description is really important. So on that email, it goes into their inboxes about 7:30 every day and it will have your company logo, it will have this file path name and it will have the description. So the partners will scroll through and they'll be like, oh, it's not relevant. Oh, that one's relevant to me. They'll click on it and it'll push them through into the hub where they can read the document. So this works two ways for you. So one, yes, you're getting information out to the partners, keeping them updated as informed as possible with all the changes that are happening within the business. But two, treat it as a marketing campaign. So if you have got partners that aren't spending with you and they periodically keep seeing you putting something on, you put a promo on, you told them about a new project you've got, you told them about what bestsellers they should be buying, you've told them your ASM is going to be in the area, do they want to get in touch to have a visit, whatever it might be, they're going to see you cropping up all the time and go, hang on, why aren't I spending with them? They're doing all these things that I didn't know about. And this takes, a couple of minutes to do. Realistically, every month you should be putting something on here. If you can get something on every couple of weeks, even better. Don't put it all on in one go. So if you're sat there going, oh God, we've got like 10 things we should have on here that the partners don't know about, don't do it all in one go unless it's business critical, because what will happen is the partner will just go approve, approve, approve. They'll sit in one chunk on the daily digest, and if another partner is not relevant to them, they'll scroll past all of your documents and not look at any of them. So drip feed is better. But that is loading documents. We go on to tenders. We are in tender season for quite a few of you at the moment, so you will start to see them coming through. So this is how you access it. You click on the tender button. You should have a notification up on your bell to say that there is a tender available. You click in here and you click the start button. So in we go. Our tender is for Abracadabra. And start filling in information. Plus it, fill in the relevant information, make sure you do company, product and rebates. You've got supporting documents here, so make sure you look in here to check if there's any documents. So it may be that there is an SSC in here, your invitation to tender letter. Some people put the basket of goods in here in addition to being on the email. So make sure you've checked there to see if there's any additional documents. And then also if you need to upload any documents to support your tender, you can just click this button here to pop those back on. So that's tenders in brief. And that is me for this section. So I've taken you through all of these headers over here. And I'm going to hand over to Serena, and she is going to take you through a couple of extra features down the side over here, a bit more admin related information, and then we'll move on to PIM with Smari after that.
Lovely, thank you. Let's share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see the hub. There we go. So as Nicole just said, she just took through the dashboard. Underneath we've got prices and products, which Smari will cover with you. So I'm just going to cover these last few menu items on the left hand side. So the first one is financials. And if we just pop it open, we've got sales figures and queries and report builder. So the first one is where you'll see all your turnover queries, which Tracy will cover later on. And then underneath we've got report builder. So this is actually a new feature for you guys. I don't think you had this in version 2 before. So this is really handy if you want to run any sales reports. So the date's already preset, well, almost year to date, but you could run a year to date report and then you can kind of track where you should be finishing at the end of the year. You could do year to date and then you could select this year to date versus previous and see how you compared for the same period last year. You could run a report on the last 12 months, which is the toggle over here. And this will bring up all your spend information and you can manipulate this data as you need to. You can also, once you select all your features, you then want to hit run report and then you can download the report into Excel and then use it as you wish. So just a bit of a running reports, running sales figures feature over here, which you didn't have before. So really handy. Underneath, we've got companies. So we've got members and contacts. So members is all the NBG partners. So if you hit members list, you've got a full alphabetized list of all the partners. So on the right hand side, you've got the key contact for each merchant. So you know exactly who to reach out to from a supplier point of view. But that's not the only person you can reach out to. Let's say you want to reach out to B Danby's, but you've got a relationship with someone else in the business. You can click on the merchant. And then you can see all the rest of their contacts on the right hand side and then find whoever you're looking for. And then in the middle of the screen, you can also see all their branches, so you can see where they're based. That might be really handy information for your ASM, so they know where to target, where to go. So super handy. So that's your members list. And then underneath, you've got contacts. And if you hit contacts management, this is where all of your own contacts are. So all the contacts you guys have as suppliers on your profile. So really handy to make sure this is up to date. So if you need to know who's got a login, you can see who's got a login, what level of access they have. If you need anybody to have an extra login, you can email Sky or your relevant commercial support. We can get this made for you. Equally, if there's anybody who's left the business, it's also handy if you pass that information on to us and we can get them removed for you. So definitely worth just making sure this is up to date. I think you could also download it into Excel, but I won't click that button just in case. And then the last one is documents. So it's given us browse through and upload a file. So that's also a shortcut for uploading a file, as Nicole just showed you. And then the main folder for you over here will be the NBG Academy. So we are producing materials for both partners and suppliers as we're releasing this new version 3. So if you go into suppliers, there'll be different, there'll be a subset of folders where you can find relevant material and training guides under each of these folders. So we will periodically upload them and you'll see them over there. So that's where you can find that. And probably the last thing from me is over here in the top right corner, you'll see your own contacts. So if you drop down, you can view your own profile to see what your profile looks like. You can edit any of your details. If you've got a change in email, job title, phone number, etc., you can go and do that yourself. You can change your password. And that, I believe, is everything you can do over here.
Sorry, Serena,
Yeah.
to interrupt. One new feature is the linked accounts, and I know this is very useful as some of you, obviously, the list won't look like this for you, but I know some of you, because you have multiple deals, you have an account for each deal that you have to log in with in version 2, and there wasn't an easy option to switch between them. So now, when you log in with whichever password, it's gonna bring your profile and it's automatically linking all your other accounts. So you just come in here and you'll see all your names and different deals, and you can just log out to the other one really quickly. And it should make it a lot easier for those of you with multiple accounts.
Lovely, thank you. But yeah, that's the rest of the menu items, and I think that's everything from me. So I'll now pass over to Smiley to talk all things PIN.
Right, okay, well, let me share my screen then. So the PIM, as we know it, the menu has actually changed has been renamed to prices and products. And we believe this is more accurate to the kind of information that we hold here. So when you come here, it gives you a drop down and it takes you to the product list, which is the one you're familiar with. So I think it would be a good opportunity, this training would be a good opportunity to just do a bit of recap in terms of what we expect from our suppliers when it comes to product data. So our product information management system is a very robust one, and we are quite proud of it because we not only hold pricing information, but we also have marketing, logistics, and media. So mostly what we're aiming to do is make this a one-stop shop where partners come to just find out everything they want to know about the products, whether they need to make sure the invoice is correct or they want to find some information about the deliveries, minimum orders, they need marketing data for their website and so on. We want them to be able to come here and not have to call you for any tiny question. So this should technically streamline the communication and just make your life easier as well by not having to answer 1,000 questions or the same question 1,000 times. So that's the purpose of our PIM. And we understand that making the portal is a collaboration effort. So yes, we put the framework, but you have to provide the data. And setting this up initially can seem quite daunting, especially if you have a long list of products. But one thing I can assure you is once you've submitted the initial set of data, maintaining it is really easy. So I'm going to show you how to do that shortly and just present you the quick process that you can do and just update your data. So technically, when you join NBG at tender stage, you are required to submit a list of products and obviously the invoice prices. So it's part of your negotiation and the team can know what to expect when dealing with your business. So once that initial product list is filled in, then it comes for approval. And I want to just quickly show you, just in case you are not sure what I'm talking about, this is what your first product list should look like in our NBG format. So when you receive this, it's obviously blank. It's got all these colorings because basically it's trying to separate different sections of the document to make it easier and um, more visual when filling it in. So you submit here all the products that you have, just going down the list and all the information, and you send this back to your team. So obviously your deal admin or negotiator will review the prices, will approve them if they agree, and then this file will come to the PIM team. So in the PIM team, myself and my colleague Alicia and Bob, we look at this sort of data sets and make sure that they are in the proper format. You might hear back from us if you're missing some important information, if your prices don't look right, not in terms of how much, but in terms of the format, or maybe you've missed a couple, anything like that, you might hear from us to say, we still need some clarification on this file. If everything is right, you won't hear from us. We will just check the file and then import it into the system. So you submitting this file doesn't mean it automatically shows up on the PIM. We have to manually import this data. And once we've imported the data, then it's visible here on what we call the PIM. So here, as a supplier, you can always come to see your data, but partners come to see all suppliers. So from their perspective, they will have all the products which we hold, which is probably over 600,000 currently. So loads of data that they come to see. And then partners can filter by supplier, or they can use the search box to just drill down information. And one thing I think it's worth mentioning, the more rich the data you provide, the more chances are your products stand out to partners. Because like I said, different people in their business will come to the PIM for different reasons. Maybe they're doing a sales in their branch and they're talking to a customer and they just want to clarify some information. Or maybe they're placing an order with you and they just want to make sure the invoice price is still correct. So loads of different people in the business come to the PIM. And one thing I want to show you, this search box is not just picking up your product code or your product name, although I do highly recommend that you provide us with very descriptive product names. I can see Mark is maybe trying to say something. He's showing us highlighted. I'm just going to, oh, there we go. Sorted. So back to the PIM. Right, so this search box, it's picking up any sort of information you provide throughout the 4 templates. So for example, if I type in pirate, I'm going to get the NBG RAM because the word pirate was used on the marketing template in the long description. So this box is picking up anything that you provide on these templates. And I think this is a good incentive to just make the most of the data that you already have in your systems and just input it into our spreadsheets and make your products more visible on the PIM. So, like I said, the partners will come here. This is what they see. Just quickly want to show you what a good product would look like. So, for example, if we go on the NBG peer, like we said, this is a copy of the system. So not all the data has been brought here currently, but normally the product will look something like this. So you've got all the summary on the main page. You would have the images here if they were uploaded. And if we click on the pricing, then we get more detailed information about just the pricing and this graph that shows you how the price has gone up or down during the years. Then your marketing tab with all the marketing data. And if you had logistics and media, they would be here. So I think it's useful for you to get an idea of what the partners will see when they come to the product. And if we go back to the PIM, something that I want you to see is we put a high importance on the invoice price. So we capture different sorts of pricing, but the invoice price is the one that's showing up on the first screen. So it's the first amount that partners will see. And that's why we always tell you it's very important that you have that filled in. So that's how the products look. So let's say you need to update prices because obviously the pricing information is the most important. I'm sure my colleague Bob has already reached out to you about adding marketing, logistics, and media if you haven't done already. If he hasn't and no one's been in contact, please do reach out to us and we can start that conversation. But let's just imagine that you've already submitted your initial list of products and now you need to update the prices. You come to the PIM. So there's two ways you can do it, but this is the way I recommend coming to the PIM to get an export of the data that you currently have. I know some people would just keep a master of the first file that they sent and they just store that somewhere locally and they update it anytime they need and then resend it. I recommend coming here because then you would see, oh, what was the most recent data we have? Have we actually put the right price for that product? And anything that you might have slipped, it's going to make you aware when you come here. So in order to do an export, if you have several deals, you will have to do it individually for each deal. So you will see here that you either have two different categories or inside the category, you have two different subcategories. So you select the relevant one, and then you have the export button. One thing to note, you have to select your supplier name as well. So your supplier name, and then the category or subcategory that you want to export. And then there is an export button just here with a drop down. So you click on the drop down. If you click on the export, it's going to give you a spreadsheet with all the data. You don't want to look at that. It's going to be huge and we can't really work with that. So the best thing to do is click on the drop down and we have the templates here and several options. So from a supplier perspective, you see all the templates that are set up, but you really only need 4 or actually 3, but I'll talk you through them. So the one for pricing, it's always going to be price maintenance from a supplier perspective. Whenever you need to change anything about your prices, do the export price maintenance. The other ones you might use are export marketing, export logistics, and there's another option here on the actual live system that we don't have on the Academy, that would be the export media. So if you need to update any of those fields, you just do the relevant export for that. Now, going back to the price maintenance. So this is where you just click on the export price maintenance and it just pops up with a notification to say the file is ready and you just download and you get the file. So I'm not going to open it from here because I've got a version that's got some highlighted columns just so I can show you what to look out for. So first thing I want to note, which is not the case here, but if your prices are already expired, your export might come out blank, so you won't have any information in these columns. On version 2, even if they were expired, you will still see the information. So we're currently trying to get that fixed. It's a bug that we're aware of. But in the meantime, if that happens to you, a workaround is from the calendar here, you can go back in time to the day when the prices were not expired and then run the export. So just something to be aware of, but we're working on getting that fixed. So when you come to the export itself, if you only need to update your prices, you download the spreadsheet, you go to the relevant pricing columns, for example, list price and invoice price, update the numbers, and that's it, you're sorted. Now, this is one scenario, but there might be a couple more reasons why you want to do this export. So, for example, if you want to add new products, you would just do the export, add the products at the bottom, fill in the relevant columns, and then submit. Or if you know that you've got products that have been discontinued, again, the only way to remove them is by doing this export. You come to the status column, you change the status from active to discontinued, and then you send the file to us. And when we import it, the system reads, okay, this product is no longer active. I'm just going to hide it away from the rest of the world. So that's one reason. Now, one thing you should always be cautious to whenever you're updating this file, make sure you've got the right dates. So if you're submitting a price file with some price changes that are valid from the 1st of August, whenever you're submitting it, but the prices are valid from 1st of August, just make sure you've got 1st of August here. And effective to date, this can be the end of your agreement. Or if you are one of those suppliers that submit monthly prices, because we have a handful of those, you will always have to put the right dates. So 1st of August to the end of August and so on. This is very important because it what dictates to the system that this is a valid active price or this is an expired price. It needs to be updated. And again, the price zone. So this is mandatory information. Most of you will only have same price across UK, but if you're one of those suppliers that have multiple prices based on the zones, England, Scotland, and so on, then you have to be sure that you've got the right zone according to your product. Another note here, currently the export gives you the EN numbers in this format because it just reverts it to general. Really sorry, we're trying to see if this is something we can force on the system to just stop it for formatting. But what you have to do when you come to the file, just change it to number and remove the zeros. Oopsie, don't add more. Just remove the zeros and it's back in the right format. Or you can just, if it's easier for you, just do a VLOOKUP again and match it to the right EN numbers. And other thing I want to mention here, this information, we will always send the file back to you if you're missing the unit of measure, the quantity, and then how to order the product. So just be mindful that this is mandatory information, and if you don't fill it in, you leave it out, we're always going to come back and ask you for this. Even if it just says it's sold individually, so each and one, we have to have something here. So, like I said, you download this file, you make the updates. Most of the times you will just work on the price, on the pricing columns and update the dates, and you're done. You save the file, you close it, and then you have to upload it back to the system. So once you've done all the changes, as Nicole has showed you, you come to the upload file here, and I want to give you a bit more detail here. So, let me just make sure I haven't missed anything so far. No, we're all good. So When it comes to submitting the file, some of you will send them by emails. To be honest, that's something you can do, but sometimes it might delay the process because obviously we work with 400 suppliers, we get loads of different questions throughout the days, and sometimes we might miss out if your email is among 50 others. So we might not do it right away. Now, the quickest thing to do is just come here and upload the file yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do it, and it's really easy, and you have more control about the information that goes out. So as Nicole said, when you need to change your prices, you need to submit the price change notice. And this is a Word document or a PDF, just a letter to say, we are planning to do price increases or price decreases starting from this date on maybe just some ranges or on all of our products, and we will have a general change of, I don't know, 2%, anything like that, just to give us a heads up that it's coming. And you submit that price change notice, it gets approved, and we know to expect a PMAR. So once you've got that sorted, it is up for you to do the PIM prices as well. And like I said, you go to your PIM, you do the export, and you change those prices in relation to what the price change notice says. And once you've got that file ready, you come here and upload it. So I'm going to show you how to do the upload because there's a couple of new things here to be aware of. So like before, we choose the specialist chemicals. I have to stop sharing just for a moment. Really sorry about this. We don't want to show you anything confidential. So sharing again, and I've selected the file, and again, only after you've selected the file, the rest of the fields show up. So like Nicole said, this is the day that your document is valid from. So we're in August. Let's say you submitted a price change notice for October and you want to submit the PMAR for October as well. So you put October here. And then you can submit this however soon you want in advance, but also your agreement will tell you the minimum amount of days that you need to submit it before. So you've selected the date, the file is automatically renamed based on the date you selected. If you've got two deals, when you're submitting prices, please just put the deal name here in case of the pricing files. So specialist chemicals in this case, just so we know, because if you're submitting two price files, they are gonna have exactly the same name otherwise. So use that, and then, like I said, you've submitted the price change notice, and the system automatically knows that this was submitted, and it's asking you, do you want to link your PMAR to this price change notice? If you haven't submitted a letter, you have to select PCN not provided. If you don't make any selection here, you won't be able to upload your price file. So this is very important new information that you got to be aware of. So I select the letter that I already uploaded, and as Nicole said, use these boxes as you wish. You can just give a recap, like I said, 2% price increases due to manufacturing costs. Or whatever it is, in your case, just give a little bit of information here. You can use the same below. And then is also asking you, is the price to NBG affected by this file? Yes. And what is the date of the invoice price? So we said the invoice price is going to be different from the 1st of October. And like if you saw, I just changed it, but if you saw, it was by default, it was already selected to September. So it was calculating that the earliest I can change my prices based on the terms of my agreement is September actually. if you select an earlier day, so let's say I want to change prices from 1st of August, it's going to ask you to explain why you are not committing to your agreement terms. So you'll have to put a short explanation in this box here. We're just going to change it to August, like October, like we said. And then if there's a different date for the price change to the market, this is not mandatory. And then again, what's the average percentage? I'm going to say 2%. And one thing I want to show you before I hit upload, as Nicole said, if you just don't want to see all these additional help text boxes, you take it off, and the design of this page is now really smooth and easy to follow. So we think it's a great improvement from the previous version. And then you can just hit upload, and your file is being uploaded. And now your deal admin or deal negotiator will review these price changes and will either approve or upload. So one thing you need to be aware of, there's a bit of delay during this process. So from the time you submit the file, it might pass a couple of days or maybe a bit longer if your deal admin or negotiator might be on holiday or they might be attending events. So sometimes it can be a few days before they get to the file to approve it. And then after it's approved, it doesn't automatically show up on the PIM. Again, the PIM team will have to manually check and import this file into the system. And then once that's done, when you come here, you can see the date that your products were last modified. So this gives you an idea of whether your most recent price file is already in the system, or if this day says 1st of January, you know, it actually hasn't happened yet. You can reach out to us and ask us if there's any issue, or maybe we're reaching out to you to say you're missing some information and so on. So this was the demo on how to do the pricing upload. And I know it was a lot of information, so I'm just going to quickly recap. If you need to change your prices or discontinue products or add new products, you do it in these 4 steps. So you come to the PIM, you select your products, the right deal if you have several, or if you only have one deal, just note you have to select your name before you press export. So you come here, you select the relevant export, price maintenance in this case. You click export, you get the file, you download this file, make the changes that you need, and then you come back to the dashboard and submit the file with all the relevant information. And we take it from there and make sure that your data is updated. Last thing I wanted to say, please, if your contact person for the PIM data has changed, please let us know, because sometimes someone in your company might be using someone else's login, which we highly discourage, because it draws to situations where we see, for example, Harry has submitted a file, and then we email Harry to say you missed out some information, and Harry never gets back to us because he no longer does the job or he's no longer with the company and so on. So please make sure you're using your own user, and if you're the PIM contact, just make sure that information is updated. And I think that is all from me on the PIM side. And we are gonna pass it on to Tracy to give us a bit more info on the finance side.
Hi everyone, I'll just share my screen with you. Oops, wrong one. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. Turnover queries. You can either go to the financials down the side here. No, it's not there on mine. Okay, it's on the main screen on the dash here, turnover queries. There aren't going to be many showing on this one. First of all, you need to change your date. I'd suggest going back to January, possibly 24, and it should show everything that is currently there from any partners who have queried figures. So the supplier figure showing is what you have entered, and the member figure is what they are querying. All the members should then put a comment in. So as they put there, they've spent more according to the attached invoice, and they've loaded an invoice as well. You can then add your own comments to say that the £500 was correct, and possibly the 200 was a delivery charge or something that is non-rebatable, or the partner could be correct and they are due the further £200. Depending on the timing of the period that we're relating to, this one is actually July 24. So no requests for payments have been created at this point. That will be later on in this month, mid-month. So you can actually go back into the period and amend it. So again, you'd be on your main, let me just go back to the main screen. And you would just literally go into the edit figures to amend. You would actually make sure that you're on the correct month. So you would select the July, and that should allow you to then change any figures that you wanted to add the additional £200 in, go to the bottom and confirm. You won't see any changes actually take place until I authorize it, and it automatically sends me a notification through which I check on it regularly on a daily basis in the mornings. So it would be the next morning, or you can drop me an email to say that you have actually done that. Really important to check the turnover queries. The more we get through them on a daily or a weekly basis, it's easier then for the partners. But just information is so important as to the comments you make. And also, if you want to check that your finance person is the right one, they should be the ones that are checking this screen. So I think that's it really on the turnover queries. But any problems, please just email me and I can guide you through it.
Okay, so thank
Back to
you,
you.
everyone. Thank you. Hopefully, we've covered most things people were expecting to see. Hopefully, you can see the enhancements, the newness, the new things that we've got on version 3. Please have a go, start using it, make sure everyone in your business is using it. If you are still using version 2, you probably will have seen there's a banner coming up along the top now that's saying we are going to be turning version 2 off. So I would highly advise you get everyone moved across as quickly as possible, and we can start answering any questions. If you do need any additional training, please reach out to us, reach out to Sky. Like we said at the start, we have recorded this session, so we can send this video back out to members of your team so they know what they should be doing. So thank you for joining the session today. I hope it was useful. You know where we are if you need us. And thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.